would be a favorite for me. I think every card and every flavor of the experience is equally interesting to me. But I think in the moment I might choose acceptance. One way for that is naming emotions, helping them understand, discerning what's different. If your prefrontal cortex is more active, then naturally they would be able to see the longer picture. If it's happiness, now what can you do with the happiness? Because you don't want to sit here trying to be happy all the time. Or if you're feeling sad, now what can you do with it? As years past, I've understood, probably the deeper understanding of emotions might have actually helped me progress a lot faster in life as well. So quickly we'll go through the slides. I'll give you a brief overview of what all we might cover in this. For me, the most interesting thing was understanding what key pain points are there for educators and also for students that they face in the emotional learning. So that's something also that we'll be exploring. And then how Kidiki addresses these challenges and the design and the philosophy behind it. Some research insights in linking emotional intelligence to student success. And then if we get time, we'll move on to a live Kidiki demonstration and some real transformation stories. And then we might move on to some practical steps that educators can do to integrate EI into their classrooms, even if you're not a counselor, even if you teach other subjects. And if we get time again, what is the vision for Kidiki and the expansion plans? And then we'll also have an interactive session, Q&A. Cool. So I just have a quick question for chat for everybody here. I know there'll be a lot of different age groups here. Any of you ever taught to identify emotions in school? You can reply yes or no in the chat. Quick. There's one no there. No, no, no. I'll just wait to see if we get any yes. Okay, I can see a yes there. Okay. It's good. Perfect. So I think the theme here might just be no for most of us. So the next question I have for everybody here is, does anybody know the percentage influence that learning that is there by emotional states? And this would be a sum of research that's out there, but also meta-analysis done by CASEL. Can you all try and take a guess? 50%? Okay. Are there more guesses out there? Probably Rajgiri Media can give out a prize for the winner. 40%, 45. Someone has said 80, around 75, 60. Cool. So I think Binamol would be the winner for now because the answer is around 70% of the learning is actually influenced by emotional states. And what that actually means is the higher grades, lower burnout is directly correlated with how much stress a person is going through. And even stuff like improved behavior, it's all related to EI. And then we notice for the 70%, we only give about one period in a week. So this is something I found really interesting. So 70% of the influence for learning comes from emotional state of a student. And it's only recently we started giving out one SEL period a week for this, maybe more for some institutions. When it's so highly influencing the grades that the schools chase, the lower burnout of teachers and students that they chase, when the behavior of the students that the teachers have struggled with, it's all correlated with the emotional states, and we are hardly putting in effort for this crucial factor, which might actually be determining how all the others might influence. So yeah, this is something I found really interesting. So that's kind of where we are. And then I was looking at the pain points, why probably how the education ecosystem ended up at the point we are only dedicating an hour a week or less. And even when I talk to teachers and educators, they're like, this is not important. Grades are important. This is not important. Grades are important. So I was trying to see like how did we reach this place? And then one of the most important indicators for me was it's not just in education, even in human relationship, is there's a lack of emotional vocabulary. And what I mean by this is, say, I know if I ask you, say, only Nicey is here, so I'm gonna use you as my what do you call lab rat. Nicey, if I ask you how are you feeling now, what would you say?
Feeling okay. Good.
Feeling okay, good. So, so not a you know see you in a bad light, but then you notice what she said, right? She said okay and good. That's probably nothing related to the inner landscape, moodscape, what is happening for Nicey right now in this moment. So it's not that we don't know the words. So if I ask Nicey to write down all the words about emotion she knows, probably she'll come up with 100 words. But then linking, okay, the body and the mind state I'm having right now is equal to this word. Like pretty much like how we do match the following. That is something that we lacked learning in school because we didn't have enough periods or time spent in understanding, okay, what am I feeling in my body? What am I sensing? And what am I feeling in my head? What are the thoughts there? This is equal to this word. That has not been done quite extensively in terms of training, just like how you train how to ride a bicycle or any of the other skill sets. So for the same reason, we will end up always having these same words. I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm good, I'm okay, I'm getting along. And how this translates to is, so it translates is like if we are not able to name exactly what we are feeling, we kind of struggle with regulating ourselves. This is what research has found out. This is what monks used to do all the time. They'll be sitting down, and if they notice, a thought coming, say the easiest one for a monk is probably a beautiful woman. So then they'll say like, oh, craving, craving, I'm craving a form. And if they feel aversion towards somebody, they will say aversion, aversion. So this is something spirituality used to do for a long time, but now research is caught up. So this is called affect labeling. So this is the part where we label what we feel in terms of emotions. And labeling emotions is much easier once you can actually understand what are you feeling, what am I noticing in my body. And research has shown that when you're actually able to name what you're feeling, the amygdala, which is the fight or flight, like the quick impulsive response part of the brain, kind of dampens. And the prefrontal cortex kind of gets more active. So, what does anybody here know what exactly the prefrontal cortex does for us? You don't have to explain. You can just say a yes in the chats. Just want to know so that I know how much I want to explain the prefrontal. So, prefrontal cortex actually helps cognitive problem solving and clarity. And this is quite important in terms of for a student. So maybe just naming emotions can make him better in problem solving. It strengthens social and communication and even communication with yourself. So how you behave in a social environment, how you interact with people around you. This is all directly linked to how active your prefrontal is. So when teachers say like students they're restless anymore, they don't respect, they don't understand what they space they are, what indirectly you might be saying is they're less, the prefrontal cortex might be less active and the amygdala is more active. And there might be a lot of different factors, social media, the way the life is, and all those stuff that's happening. But if we can find ways to bring people into the prefrontal cortex, it can improve the emotional regulation and calm the brain's emotional centers. And it can also enhance emotional awareness and clarity. Next slide, please. There's a lot of research on this. I've put it on small font there, but if you guys want, I'm happy to share it post presentation if you reach out to me. Um, yeah, so it's quite crucial in terms of what role prefrontal cortex does in terms of impulse control, say, or also in terms of planning. Okay, do I need to be distracted right now, or should I focus on this right now so that I can achieve my long-term goals? So all of this behavior is directly related to activating the prefrontal cortex again and again. And a lot of ways are out there to do it. And one of the easiest way is just to label the emotion. So what Nicey did right now, she's automatically activated her prefrontal cortex, even if she said, okay, or I'm good. It doesn't matter exactly what, but that the effort of actually naming, of becoming aware of what my mind body state is, will lessen your fight and flight state. Cool. So we'll go on to the next slide. I'm sorry, I just saw your message, Kanika. Amygdala is responsible for the fight or flight, the fear, the response that happens, like the impulsive response. That's like more of the primitive part of the brain. Happy to share resources later on if we're having a short session. So this is a quick question. Do you guys see anything wrong about the slide? Okay, I'll just go about. So what I've done here is in this slide, I've pretty much kept all the font sizes almost the same. So how would a normal slide be in a presentation? Yeah, fluctuation is there. Probably the website would be smaller, the logo might be a bit smaller, and the header might be the biggest. And what does that actually help us understand? We actually are able to understand, okay, this is the header, this is what the thing I need to focus on, this is the body of the text. Okay, this is the website. Okay, maybe I can look at it later. It's not important. So just changing, yes, bold print, regular waves, yes. So just changing the size of the fonts makes it easier for us to understand, okay, should I focus on? What I shouldn't focus on, right? So this is something that also happens with us in terms of our emotions. So for most of us, yes, focus is shifting, yes. So if you look at this right now on the left, you can see those bars over there. That's pretty much how the last slide look. Like all of them were the similar size. And most of us go through life with having all the emotions the same. So say if you were driving your car today and a random biker came and smashed into your bumper or just came really close to your car. So say if you're a very emotionally not aware person or a normal human being like most of us. If you look at the leftmost bar, the angry, like how angry you are at the biker would be, the volume would be quite high, right? And if you can see, that's almost as equal to excited about buying a dog, happy about listening to your favorite song in the car, sad about there's no salary hike. So all these different things are happening in the same time, but just because a biker came and you're not able to have a discernment of what is more or less, you get angry at the biker. And this might have happened when you're 20, 22, but by the time you're 40 or 50, you might be like, it's not worth my time. It's not worth my effort. So what has actually happened over time? Over time, you've understood, okay, which one emotion is worth following through, which is actually more in intensity, almost like the volume bars. Like kiska volume is more or less. So say for a person who's more emotionally aware, how would he probably see the same situation? Let's say. So for them, probably the highest would be excited about buying a dog, or probably sad about no salary hike. And maybe slightly less would be happy from listening to a favorite song. Frustrated to the partner is also maybe less. And see how what is the anger towards the biker? That's quite low on the spectrum because he understands this is nothing to do with my life. This is just a random moment. It's happened. Nothing has happened to my car. He's offshoot right in front of me, and now he's moving away. So it's fine. So this skill, most of us don't learn early on in life, which is why you see people going through emotional ruckus even later on in life, where life gives them enough beatings and they learn it the hard way around. So, say naming emotions, just the act of naming emotions can also create something where you are actually able to discern which emotion is more or less. Say, if I ask Nicey again, when Nicey says, I'm okay, and you said, and you're good, right? Is that what you said? So if I ask you which one is more or less, what would you say?
Good.
Good is more. Yeah. See, so real time, what has happened is she has shifted her mind to kind of understand, okay, am I feeling more good or more okay? So this practice of seeing which one is more or less increases our awareness real time. And the more we practice it, and the more we allow our students, the children to practice it, they can grow up to be more emotionally aware. And what does the word emotional awareness mean in itself? It's becoming aware of the emotions, of how they are, what is the texture, what is more or less. So I'm kind of re-emphasizing the same point because just these two things can change a lot in terms of how children, students would behave in class, or even adults for that matter. Can we go on to the next slide? I see. So this is something research is again proved. Emotional granularity. That's what is called basically being able to differentiate between similar emotions has been linked to improved emotional regulation and resilience. So this is just one of the researchers I've quoted here, but there's shit tons of research out there which says the same. And the same educational theorists are also arguing that discernment and reflection, what now they call the word for that is called metacognitive awareness, are foundational to well-being and learning. So when they say foundational to well-being and learning, what does that mean? So even if I'm solving a math problem or if I'm doing any kind of skill where I have to discern which is more important, a path to follow in finding an answer, it's the same skill sets that come into use there. It's just we are building on the skills of discernment and reflection, which can be applied in pretty much anywhere. It's not just uh, yeah, it's not just in the field of emotional. It can go about in the other fields, which is why they say the 70%, coming back to the 70%, how that plays a role. Just understanding emotions and being with emotions, building discernment, naming them can actually benefit outside the emotional realm as well. Now, another important one that I feel is missing is embodied learning. So this might just be a random word, embodied learning for now, but most of us move through the realm of just feelings. So if I ask you, Nicey again, sorry, I'm my only rap rat here. If I'm asking you, what are you sensing in your body right now? What would you say?
Um,
It's okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm?
Yeah, it's just okay.
Okay. Yeah. So in terms of human experience and sensations, we can have a plethora of sensation. I might be feeling tingly. I might be feeling warm, hot, cold. I might be feeling a pulsing, throbbing, pounding. I may be feeling full. So there are so many sensations that are happening in our body. And these sensations form the core of our experience. So I'll just put another question out of the chat again and we'll see what the chat comes back with. So anger. So how do you experience anger? Okay, there's a error, the spelling in your body. How do you experience anger in your body? I would really love if everybody starts giving out answers for this. I can see there are 186 people on this call. My ears turned red. Yes. Heart rate goes up. Yes. Breathing changes. Yes. High palpitation. I fumble. Tears. Shout. Face gets red. Brain pulsating. Yes. Heart rate goes up. Shivering of hands. Facial expression changes. Warm. Body gets hot. Yes. Fear. Sweating. Emotional breakout. Sweating. Face expression changes. Irritating tone. Stressful. Yes. So I think a common theme here would be the heartbeat is going up. Headache. Red. Body turns cold. Yes. It's also possible. Nice. Later on, fatigue. Body heats up. Yeah. So if you just notice this is exactly what I was trying to say. Anger is a thought. It's a feeling. What we express as anger, but beneath it, the body is having its own sensations. And it usually starts off with, say that external, we'll go for that same biker. You're driving your car, and this biker comes and crosses in front of you. Say he sweared at you and did something. And then you start feeling the same thing. The body heats up, the cheeks turn red, the facial expression changes, ears turn red. You start getting frustrated. So this all starts off as a body-based sensations. And then because we're not comfortable with the sensation, I'm pretty sure nobody here is comfortable with all the sensations they said now. Because we are not comfortable with those sensations, our immediate response is to relate and find a feeling or a thought that can make sense, or action or a behavior that can make sense of these sensations. Which is why we might swear at them, shout at them. So from a very technical AI simulation world, if I'm a robot, all that happened is I got some visual stimuli of a guy with a biker going, and then my body had some sensory experience to which my brain reacted as anger. So this embodied learning, that it all starts in the body as sensations. And if we are okay with those sensations, we might react less. We might have a less reactive mind. So if you take a sadhus, for example, again, I'll keep going back to monks because spend quite some time with them and observe them. Like they can sit on top of nails and they're fine. It's not because they don't feel the sensation of the nails, but they're okay with the sensation of nails. So even if you see like saints, why they say like if they get a slap, they're okay with the slap. They feel the heat of the slap, they feel the pain of the slap, but they see it just as a sensation in the body. And any sensation in the body will never last more than 20 minutes. It's usually 90 to 120 seconds if it's an emotional sensation, but max to max out 20 minutes is what a sensation would last in your body. So even if, say, that same biker was there, the blood started heating up, red, and all that happened, within 10-15 minutes, you would be back to normal. It's just that 15-minute curve, most of us are not being trained to kind of cross, which is why we have these fights, we have these issues, we have a hard time understanding our emotions. So again, so yeah, sensations is how the experience starts for us, and feelings is the mind's reactivity to it. So it all starts as sensations, and what these monks and all these highly Buddha and all of them have done is no matter what sensation happens, they don't have a reactive mind to it. So they pretty much nothing affects them anymore. So maybe we can't reach there, but we can at least start reaching a place where we react less to the sensation. Understand it's all just starting off as a sensation. And there are practices that we can give kids, that even like a practice like Kidiki can help you actually tune into this in a very non-intrusive, playful way. Because nobody can go and sit in a cave for 2 years, 10 years to kind of figure this all out. We need things that are more accessible, that are quick, faster for the way the world is working now. And our feelings are also related to our needs. So say if you're having a positive, like if you have a need, like say my need earlier I said was acceptance. If as need as acceptance is met, then I'll have positive feelings. And if I have positive feelings, I'll have positive sensations in my body. So next slide. So all these three things are correlated and they're kind of intertwined, just like the shape below that. So sometimes the thought of somebody might give you some unpleasant sensations. Sometimes a need not being met might give you an unpleasant sensations, but sometimes a good sensation might make you feel happy feeling. So it can go either ways all throughout, all three of them. And the more we are able to understand this, the more we are also able to tell our guide students on how to go about managing their emotions. So short interventions linking sensations and emotions can significantly enhance self-awareness and reduce emotional reactivity. So just the fact that you guys all wrote down the anger, how it comes up in your body, there's a high probability next time when you're getting angry, you might just notice a little bit more of how it forms. Not that you wouldn't become Buddha overnight, but that's already started. And the more you're able to do it on a regular basis and try and understand, even after you're angry, okay, I'm angry, what am I sensing in my body? If you're able to guide us students through, okay, what is happening in your body? What are you feeling in your body? And help them name it, then that leads to reduced emotional reactivity and enhancing their self-awareness. Yeah, this is also another key pain point here. Overburdened curriculum limits time for emotional learning. That's quite self-explanatory. You guys might all be aware of it, how crammed up your schedules are. So again, this is another pain point we have to address. And how do we address it? Maybe we need practices and things that are effective but very quick. Yeah. And next one, please. Slide. And traditional methods are abstract and non-engaging. So when I say traditional methods are abstract and non-engaging, what I mean here is they are very uh, text heavy and didactic. And what do I mean by didactic? The easiest way to explain is probably that picture on the left. If you look at them, what usually happens in probably a session where the teacher or the counselor or somebody is telling the students is it's a hierarchy based approach. Usually that happens. There's one person telling them this is what you're feeling, this is what you should do, this is what blah blah blah. It's less of a co-learning experience that's created. And that what, especially for emotions, that's quite hard for us to understand from that space. Maybe from a learning perspective, it's slightly different. For us to tune into our emotions, a didactic approach is less effective. And it's usually very text heavy. And once it becomes really text heavy, what happens is emotions are very abstract. So you need something that is more tactile. You can feel, touch. There should be way more sensory uh, experience that should be kind of intertwined along with text heavy sessions. Which is why if you see students who are sitting in these kind of emotional sessions, they hardly engaged because it's mostly one person talking about blah 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 blah, and it's less about them engaging them. But I've seen like a lot of practices are coming in which are more engaging, sharing, making sure everybody shares. But yeah, a lot of traditional methods are abstract and non-engaging, which is also something a key point why even educators or even who are people who are principals or even probably like old timers who are there would think like, I don't think it's effective. I don't think students are engaging enough. And again, this is all backed by research. Emotions are taught in a didactic, text-heavy manner, limits engagement and connection, reducing participation and emotional involvement in learning. And also another thing is neurodivergent learners are overlooked. And you might be noticing a lot more students are coming across as neurodivergent. It's a question if they are actually neurodivergent or not. But there's a lot of neurodivergent tendencies being shown now among learning, among students. And for them, especially, just one, just a visual or just auditory won't work. You need way more multisensory ways in which you should be able to try and hit them so that they can understand the emotion because each person's brain would be working so different from the other. So they face something called challenges with interoception. So what I mean by interoception is a lot of people were able to actually name, okay, my cheeks go red, my ears go red, I feel the heat body happening. For a lot of neurodivergent kids, what would happen is they can't actually understand what they're sensing in the body the same way a neurotypical person can do it. And also they have a heightened sensory input that happens. So it's quite hard for them to kind of make sense of emotions the same way the neurotypical person might be doing. So you need more slow paced, playful, engaging, multi-sensory engaging ones so that they can come at and explore emotions at their own pace rather than a strict hierarchical method where it's taught like a class. It'll be very hard for them to kind of understand emotions and make sense of it. So yeah, the act of touch and sight creates an embodied connection that can feel especially vital for neurodivergent individuals who may benefit from multi-sensory modalities rather than abstract text-heavy approaches. Cool. Next slide. Stigma around emotions and therapy. Yeah, this is there. And this is something that's not so easy to tackle, but that's possible to be tackled using probably more playful approaches, is what I believe. That are non-intrusive. That doesn't actually take you to a very deep place of, oh, I have to talk about all of my life now. I have to talk all about what's happening in my family, all of my issues, rather than if it's a very playful way in which we approach it, say like the way I approach Nicey now, and when you said good and bad. So like slightly, if we make it more playful now, if we sit around in a group and say if we pass around cards, which has feelings on it as a word, and it's like pick a feeling that you are not comfortable feeling. So they might pick a card and then they might start saying a story where they have the autonomy of choosing it. This is the feeling I chose. And now I'm more comfortable talking about it. So there might be feelings in there that they don't want to talk about. But once you give them the autonomy to choose a feeling that they want to talk about, it feels less intrusive. And the more safer they feel, the more they will open up, which you would have seen as teachers as well. And yeah, so I think stigma around emotions therapy, I think we'll keep it there. I think that's pretty obvious to everybody. Next one, there is no quick scalable emotional check-ins. So there's no quick scalable emotional check-ins that are available for students now, or even for adults. This is also another pain point which I saw. So, like, teachers, you're busy with your lectures and with your classes and stuff. Like, there's no way you can give like 15 minutes, 20 minutes into a check-in session, or even kind of check-ins where that can be scaled and rolled out throughout the school. Those needs to be very easy to learn and also very easy to apply, but also needs to be done quite fast. So there's not a lot of tools out there for us to do it this way, which is also one of the hurdles which I've seen, which is why we kind of not focus on figuring out this. Do we need more than one SEL period? Because it's always the same thing. It takes a lot of time and not a lot of result is seen. So again, this is kind of, we just kind of put it on a table, what all we have here. So the lack of emotional vocabulary is something we can tackle by teaching them how to notice and name. So this can be done as easy as maybe taking down a list of sheet of paper, writing down all the emotions out there, cutting them into pieces of paper, and just seeing what are you feeling now. Or there's something called the feelings wheel. That's a little bit more complex, which is why I kind of narrow it down when I made Kidiki, because there are even complex emotions there, which are harder to make sense at once. So ideally, you should be try and looking for simple primary emotions which can explain it, rather than going for complex emotions like shame and grief that are much harder to understand. Say, for example, grief, if you've all gone through grief, you can notice it's not the same throughout the 6 months of grief. If somebody died, it changes, keeps changing. So, yeah, there's a lot of ways in which you can do it, but the easiest would be to cut it out, and or you can get Kidiki. And the missing sensory link, embodied practices. So, embodied practices, say somatic practices, just asking them to tune into their breath or what are they sensing in their body. And even simple practices, like I'll show you one simple practice which I learned, is just turning your head back and looking behind you calms yourself, because it signals to the primitive part of our brain that there's nothing behind us that is going to harm us. So there are so many somatic practices out there like this, which is quite easy to apply, or even just standing up and asking the kids to shake their body quite quick. This is why I've seen a lot of schools are sending kids out more to play. So if you ask them to get more into their body in different ways. So embodied practice is something you can look at. Happy to guide you guys if you want help around it. Then overburden teachers with the curriculum. So you need something very quick and effective, which we've already said, abstract methods of doing these SEL periods. So we need something way more playful, artistic, visual, tactile, that they can feel and touch. So it's not just, something out there as an experience. They can feel it, touch it. Multisensory for neurodivergence, emotional stigma. So you need gentle, approachable ways of doing it, more playful. So there's need a lot of play when you're exploring emotions. Even if you've noticed with your partner or anybody, it's much easier for you to explore emotions when it's done in a very playful way rather than the classic max class approach. And even looking back in my school days, the best classes I've been really attentive where the teacher had that playful energy with them. Even if the topic was like really full on, I was open to sitting because I felt more safer in my body. And there are no quick check-in practices out there. So we need scalable daily micro practices that we can give our students. So yeah, so this is what Kidiki is. That is quite a quick jump, but Kidiki is designed to give you these big insights in under 7 minutes. It helps you notice your bodies, name your feelings, and understand your needs without overwhelm. It's designed that way. So there are 3 decks across 108 cards, which again I've kind of narrowed down, sat with therapists, with somatic practitioners to kind of narrow down words which can encompass the human experience and not just another word just pulled out of Google. So sensations cards are there, feelings cards are there, needs cards are there. There are prompt cards that can deepen your exploration, but more prompts if you need, just go on ChatGPT I don't know why people charge people for prompt cards anymore. And there are resource cards that help you regulate your nervous system, like the somatic practices I said, a little bit of starter to it. There are more that will definitely be suggested if you get in touch with me. And there's a guidance booklet that just guides you and gives you an overview of what sensations are, feelings are, needs are, when to ask for help, when to go for therapy, what you can do on your own. Yeah. And also guiding you through a practice, what I call the Kidiki practice, that helps you name emotions in a easy, playful way. So this is how Kidiki cards look. And in this, we have kind of tried and tackled what the pain points we're trying to say here is. So the card on the left is called pounding. So that's from the sensations deck. Card in the middle is acknowledgement. That's from the needs deck. Card on the far right is tired, which is from the feelings. It's like a mental reaction deck. And this art that's gone on all of them for people who can't really make sense of word at once. And even if you can make sense of word, the art kind of helps you go deeper into it and understand if it's latent or active in you. And for it to also become a relational practice, the words are there on both sides. So it can even be a counselor and a student, or it can be two students, or it can be a teacher and a student, or however, or even if it's for couples. So over here, I'm just talking from an educational perspective, but Kidiki can actually be applied in way more context than just in a student teacher or among students kind of a situation. So color that speaks, language that connects, and yeah, it's kind of what the design is. And so yeah, this whole deck, it's therapy informed, time sensitive, so it can even be played in 7 minutes. It can go up to an hour if you want to go really deep. There are practices, suggestions that can help you go so deep. It's a relational orientation. So if there's a witness to your emotions, it's much easier for you to process it. So it's also been designed for more than one player to play. There's a stigma lighting playfulness, it's in the form of cards, like what Nicey said, when you think of cards, games come to your mind. It's much easier for even an old guy with a mustache to kind of play with cards. He wouldn't know what he's getting up to, and I've noticed a lot of men open up way easier with this because it's less intrusive, because they don't want to say out loud, I'm feeling sad and I'm upset with you. But they're more easier. I've noticed them like, yeah, that's the, yeah, so it feels less intrusive for, and it's not like I'm mocking probably an older generation of less emotionally aware people. It's just that we never learned in school. So just like kids, we need to make sure we introduce it in a very light, playful way. And embodied practices, there are suggestions, and the cards are designed with the sensations cards to kind of take you there. There is sensory artistry there. Each of the card is designed with somebody who is really understands psychology, color psychology, and is also an abstract artist. So we've sat a long time for the art as well. It's open-ended. There is no specific rules for this game, even though there are suggestions there. I've seen people make up their own rules as they go. Because in the end, it's just giving you names to what you're feeling. Way more words than saying, I'm okay, I'm happy, I'm sad. It's giving way more to the lexicon of the human experience. And it's also trauma informed, the way it's designed, the way it's to be played. So it's just an example. It's not of a student, it's a 19-year-old. 19-year-old picked mourning from the needs deck while playing with his girlfriend. She was confused because she has just returned from Germany. And he was like, why are you picking up mourning? I just came back. And he resisted at first because I was with them when this happened. And he was playing. And he resisted at first. And then he admitted he hadn't been home when his grandmother died. And it was haunting him in the back of his head. But a moment didn't come where he could actually acknowledge it. And it came up so randomly. Also, he was like, what do I do with it? But it is in such a non-intrusive, playful way that the environment was set. The card is there. So he held to the card for a bit. And then he explained this to us. And simply naming mourning opened a floodgate, of emotions. And yeah, his girlfriend, he held his hand and they left closer. It was quite nice to see that. I thought, like, normally, otherwise, it would have ended up in a fight, if he was feeling off about something. But just this naming and them sitting, there's a deeper understanding that came. And this was at a retreat I did recently in Bangalore. A woman struggling with her mother's insistence on a goat sacrifice, which is probably done in a lot of states. Something I recently got to know happens in a different state. Used Kidki to map her feelings and needs, and a friend. So that's why I said it's open ended. She just came and she said, I'll role play as your mother, and let's see what your mother was feeling and needing. And they both kind of played. The girl played, and the other one friend played as the mother, and they both were able to understand, oh, we have some mutual feelings here. And we're both trying to feel safe. You're trying to feel safe by doing the goat sacrifice. I'm trying to feel safe by not doing the goat sacrifice. And just that having that discussion with the words of understanding what her mother might be going without even talking to her mom uh, gave us so much insight that she knew exactly how to go and talk to her mom after that. And then she later texted me that her mother dropped the family's long standing practice of the goat sacrifice, which I found was quite interesting. How just finding the right words can open doorways. So, how to integrate tools like Kidiki for emotional intelligence? So, again, coming back to you can do like daily, weekly morning check ins, and it would take like less than 3 minutes, 5 minutes. If you have like a sheet, you can give out to them that they can mark, or maybe like you can just get creative with how do you want to do the check in, or just asking around everybody, just scream or just shout or whatever we did like in chat here. What are you feeling? Tell me one sensation you're feeling. So anything as small as that, just see how much it stacks up over years for a student in terms of understanding what emotions are. That's what I would like to emphasize here. And teacher student reflection groups. So, like putting students in circles, having a reflection at some point in a month, maybe starting into small groups and talking about what are they feeling. Like in Sweden, I heard they say they sit around in groups and they say I feel, and they talk about just a feeling, and from a very young age. So how that translates as older is instead of saying you made me feel this, they're able to more own up, this is what I am feeling. I am feeling sad because you shouted at me. It's less about your shouting, it's more about how I'm feeling sad now. And they're able to see what action they can take instead of being in that victim. So even teachers can do these reflection groups with cards like this and emotions so that they can tackle the stress that comes in with this. Then conflict mediation with emotional intelligence language. So cards like this can help you, like what that mother goat sacrifice happened. If conflict happened between students, you can give them names. What are you feeling? What are you needing from each other? Can even teachers can do it even within the organization. Mindfulness and stress reduction exercises, I'm pretty sure a lot of schools have started doing now. Parental engagement, I know it's a bit of a struggle, but research has repeatedly again and again proved parents how they are with the kids, like introducing tools like Kidiki within the family or giving them insight into tools like this and asking them to engage with the students in an emotional way can has a huge impact on their emotional state when they come back to school the next day, which again, as teachers, you might be aware. And I know you might be struggling to get teachers, even like I've heard schools tell me, like on the PTA day, they try to do an emotional well-being session for the parents, but they don't turn up. But again, just kind of re-emphasizing this is stuff that we need to work on. Like, there's no way we avoid it because again, going back, this is the 70% of what you're trying to chase for the fame of the school or the well-being of the kid. And inclusive practices that kind of bring together uh, something that would help from a multi-sensory perspective for neurodivergent kids and kids with special abilities. And yeah, these are the programs that I do. I'll not spend a lot of time here. If you want to reach out, we can do it separately. So I also do an authentic self teacher workshop where teacher kind of really tune in with how to be their authentic self so that they can give that same energy to the kids. There are student sessions I do, 30, 40 minute sessions I can do for each classroom. So I take them through this tool and teach them how it works. Teacher training, deeper dives were a half day ones, which I do usually for counselors, but also teachers who want to understand this more and inculcate it even in their sessions, even in their normal um, classroom sessions, like a 5 minute, 10 minute. How do they do it? Even like 3 minutes or once a week, how do they do it? Also, parent sessions, I do it. Sorry, I don't know why I said 1 to 3 days. It's usually 1 to 3 hours. Or maybe I can even do shorter ones like 30, 40 minutes, but ideally I would take at least an hour to kind of get, and usually I kind of plug it in with the PTA days when they come in, or another day if we can get them in. So yeah, this is kind of how it works. We start off with the teacher workshop, then we do student sessions and deeper training for teachers, and then we do parent sessions, and then we just keep doing it cycles as the years pass, as the new students come up, and ideally starting from 16 or 15 and above. Yeah, this is kind of just some research that goes into the work I do that's back there. Again, I can send it all to you. This is just a small part of the research that goes into proving what a tool Kidiki can do for emotional regulation in such a quick and non-intrusive way. But yeah, thank you all for taking your time out to listen to this. I'm happy.
Yeah. So you call emotional intelligence the missing curriculum in schools. So, why do you think it has been overlooked for so long, despite so much research linking in EI to student success and well-being?
Yeah, so I think that's kind of what I covered it in the presentation. Like, there's so many ways in which we still kind of lack the right tools to kind of teach the coming generation. Like, all the practices out there are very, it's quite a hard to kind of crack and make it easy for people to understand. There is no structured way in which it's taught. So, and just because the world is so fast changing, you need something that's quick that gives the same kind of impact. And one way for that is naming emotions, helping them understand, discerning what's different. And I haven't seen a lot of practices being done. So, yeah, not sure if I answered your question.
Okay, and Mr. David, in your bio, like we found that you value intrinsic motivation over the external pressure. So, how do you
Mhm.
think teachers can cultivate intrinsic motivation in classrooms that are often exam driven?
So, intrinsic motivation. So, again, this is all comes back to if your prefrontal cortex is more active, then naturally they would be able to see the longer picture. They can start seeing what is in it for me. And for us as educators or people trying to help students, is all about finding ways in which we can keep activating the prefrontal for them. That improves their concentration, that helps to improves their attention span. So if you've noticed, like people who meditate long term, the prefrontal starts getting so big, so huge compared to the normal population. So yeah, like I think again coming back to 70%, that's what I want to say everybody. 70% is emotion. So once we find ways to help our students understand emotions better, I think the intrinsic motivation would come in. Like once you start feeling safe, you're more able to tune into what you want and give it direction and work towards it. Just like a scared animal, it wouldn't want to come out and play if it's stressed. So trying to get them out of the stress. And the easiest way to stress is even just noticing I am stressed is enough to get out of the idea of stress. So all these spiritual practices, again, I'll just keep going back to spiritual practices, but I like grounding them in research. Is as soon as you name something, what happens is then you're suddenly witnessing. So as soon as I name David is stressed, now suddenly David is a project for me. Oh, there's a stressed David. Now what do I do with the stressed David? So something I explore in the Kidiki cards is once you name the sensation, you try and locate where you feel it in the body. And for the feelings cards, what you do is once you found out what feeling is there, irrespective of it being a positive feeling or a negative feeling, now what can you do with it? So if it's happiness, now what can you do with the happiness? Because you don't want to sit here trying to be happy all the time. Or if you're feeling sad, now what can you do with it? So teaching students that, okay, it doesn't matter what emotions you're feeling, but if you can find a way to channel it and express it. Say like there's a lot of great poems and songs being written when somebody's really sad. It's not such a bad emotion. It's just an emotional state, but it can be explored to get a lot of out of it. And the same with the needs text as well. Once you start tuning into needs, say like if I say I want a Ferrari car, I don't need a Ferrari car. So when you talk about intrinsic motivation, just coming back, what I really need might be, say, if I had to imagine if I needed a Ferrari car, it might be because people might respect me. I might feel acknowledged by people around me because I've made it big in life. So the deeper needs there are respect and acknowledgement. So maybe I can get all of them by donating probably 1/10 of the money into a charity, and I might still feel respected and acknowledged. So a lot of times finding the deeper motivators, like what we might think is the motivator. Okay, I need a Ferrari. That's why I need to go and do this in life. No, it might not be not. What you need is respect and acknowledgement. So see what is a sustainable, healthy way of meeting that need. So yeah, that's another way in which you can explore as well. Intrinsically, the needs I would suggest.
Okay, so you said about neurodivergent learners, like who may experience emotions differently or struggle with traditional methods. So,
Mhm.
like, how does Kidki cater to it? And can you elaborate a little bit on it?
Yeah. Okay, I'll just answer Hena Ahmed's question. What about the thrill of driving a Ferrari? Yeah, you can rent a Ferrari. See, so like when you really try and bring it down, distill it down to what you want. And if you want the thrill of a Ferrari every day in the morning, then maybe you need a Ferrari then. Yeah. Like, but if there's a healthier, sustainable way, like I think what I'm trying to say is that we shouldn't try to get what we want in life, but it's more like we can really sit back and think, what am I really trying to chase here? And what am I really trying to gain here? And is it actually worth my effort and time? Or can I just go bungee jumping once in 3 months and get the same adrenaline high? You can rent out a car for a week to see if you really enjoy the thrill of driving a Ferrari. Cool. Sorry, Nicey, can you repeat your question again?
Yeah. So you said about neurodivergent behavior. Yeah. So can you please explain like how elaborate a little bit on it, and can you just explain how Kidiki caters to it?
So for neurodivergence, I'm not an expert in neurodivergence, but I can explain from my own neurodivergence and people I've noticed who are neurodivergent is we need a little bit of stimulation sometimes, and sometimes we don't need stimulation, and it'll just keep changing all the time. It's not like a definitive way of being. And as a person with slight ADD, I've also noticed practices like meditation and others have really helped me kind of get this prefrontal so strong that I can sit for this whole session now without jumping around. Otherwise, I would have jumped around 5 times in between the session if I was probably in school. So, trying to make these accessible to kids. So, say like if you're going through the cards one at a time, then there is 34 cards of sensations. You're going through one of them, seeing if it's there or not. Discernment, reflection, discernment, reflection. What happens is you come into a space where you're slowing down. You're forced to slow down. There's no way you can speed up. And in this process, you're doing something that has already been done in meditation. You're activating the prefrontal. And this, I think, helps neurodivergent people focus more. And also the fact that art is there, which is abstract. It's not definitive art. So abstract art also helps neurodivergence relate more because what they're feeling and what they're experiencing is also very abstract. So something put forward through color theory, it'll be much easier for them to make sense. And also the fact that it feels like the cards are also done in such a way that it feels really nice. It's high quality GSM. So the tactile experience of it is also feels good. It's something you can touch, feel. You can't smell it, sadly. Maybe it's someday I can design something like that. But so the whole experience, having the multi-sensory is where it helps neurodivergent people, I feel. And also the way it's played, it's not like I can't tell you how to play this game. I can't tell you what card to choose. Like if I tell you, Nicey, if I give you that pack of cards, I can't tell you, oh, you're feeling sad, Nicey, you need to pick this. That's not how the game is designed. The game is designed for you to pick what is there for you. And that is the truth in the moment. So there is no right way or an excellent 100 marks way of getting it right. It's just about we're naming now. So what you're naming now might not be the most alive sensation. Like when you said good or okay, you might still have those sensations in your body. You're feeling okay, you're good, but there might also be more things. That's kind of how this thing is designed. So it's not about making people feel like they're wrong or feeling unsafe. It's more of like a very non-intrusive, again, a trauma-informed approach, making it playful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's knowing emotions is good, but whether there's a question here. Jivbharti has asked, like, knowing emotions is good, but she's afraid whether they get to know about emotions and they might lose their innocence. So, what is your perspective on this?
They might lose their innocence. So knowing about emotions and saying they might lose their innocence, I feel this is much like how sexual education was never done in India early on. Yeah. So we just have to understand what kind of a world we are in. So say like if we were tribals, this is an easy example. Say if we were two tribals, Nicey, me and you, okay? You're a different tribe, I'm a different tribe. We're sitting on two sides of the river, long back. I look at you like, who's this creature? She's not from my tribe. You'll be sitting there, you'll be looking at me. And we're trying to make sense of each other. We don't have words, we don't have language. We have a lot of non-verbal communication that's happening. But now the world is so fast paced. You keep meeting people faster. You're like even children, they're meeting people online. A lot of stuff is happening. So in a sense, I feel like it's very early on. Like I've seen documents, research in when I was in New Zealand where they talk about uh, teaching kids how to uh, like sexual education happening as young as 6 years, 7 years. So in terms of innocence, I feel like the world we are in, being digitally connected, I'm thinking, hoping that innocence, what you mean by that is this, in terms of adding more words. Like, so this is something I also kind of uh, struggled to make sense initially when I was preparing these cards, but I spoke to psychologists and what they said is, so if a kid is picking a card of intimacy when she's young, so that is something that we are shining light on at an early age. So we can try and understand why did she pick that card. If she picked that card early on at an age where she wouldn't probably need intimacy or companionship, that might be just pointing towards a deeper need that might need to be met by their parents or their loved ones, which is lacking. So tools like this, rather than thinking they would take off the innocence, they would rather shine light on what might if left ignored, might lead to more issues later on, is what I feel. But yeah, I understand what you're trying to say.
Okay, there's another question from Hena Ahmed. Students do many things just for the peer pressure. So how to manage this?
Students do many things for peer pressure. How to manage this? Yeah, again, see, I can only say in terms of my card game now, not trying to publicize it. But that's what I found would work for this. So say if you take a group of kids and you give them these cards, feelings decks, and you sit with them and you ask them, put them in pairs and give them these feelings cards and ask them to pick up which feelings are there for you mutual. And if they all pick up mutual feelings as come up as sad, I'm frustrated, I'm feeling a little bit, all of this. So then they're able to more understand, okay, what I am feeling, the other one is also feeling. Or what I'm not feeling, oh, I'm feeling happy right now, and this person is feeling sad now. Okay, there is a dissonance in our worlds, and it's okay for that to happen. So, creating environments where students can actually acknowledge their emotions and be okay with it. The earlier on we can teach them, then there's much less chance of this peer pressure kind of coming in. Like peer pressure, if you take it or any of it is just deeply riddled, in my understanding, again, this is my experience, I'm not a psychologist, is there might be a lot of trying to people please. There's a lot of shame, guilt. That's all probably got to do with a lot of things that might be happening within their home environment as well. So that's just a reflection of it. It's going to be happening. Like, there are students who are not affected by peer pressure and they just move around like nothing is happening. There are people who give in to peer pressure very fast. There are people who peer pressure the others. It's all a reflection of what the environment they grow up in. So what we can do is probably create environments where we can kind of rewire them, and sessions where you give them talk about their emotions, feelings openly. So why we picture it as probably a kid who's like, you think as from an adult brain, I don't want to say publicly I'm sad. But if you take like small kids, they're very happy saying if they're sad, happy and all. And early on, if they're taught all the stuff that it's okay for a boy to cry and all of that, then they'll go, I'm just feeling sad now. And it's easier for students also, like, Miss, I'm feeling frustrated with this class right now. So then you can like, what do you want to do? I just want to go for a walk, and allowing that good to go for a walk or allowing him to stand up and shake his body and creating an environment where early on where it's okay for that kid to do it because he was feeling a bit restless and everybody is like, oh, he was restless. He's shaked his body. Now we can sit down and study. So it takes time. I'm not saying it won't happen overnight, but I'm hoping with the moment I'm going to start again, this is what I said, it's a missing curriculum in it. We need to find ways to inculcate it because homes don't have time anymore for parents to kind of inculcate it. They're working 9 to 5 or probably 9 to 9. Moms are also working. There's no more grandparents at homes teaching them how to love, how to be okay with emotions, saying these emotions are okay. So a lot has been lost on the way. So yeah.
Yeah, so like you said, kids usually share their emotions. There are children who are introvert and extrovert. So do introvert children also share openly, like how they feel?
Yeah. So good question. So if I have to pick a card, that's perfectly fine for an introverted space. And speaking out loud is where probably an extrovert would enjoy. An extrovert might enjoy even saying out loud, I'm sad. But an introvert might not be so happy. So the way this is designed and the way I'll be teaching teachers to do. So from a trauma-informed perspective, if you do it, you should be okay. And it should be okay if the kid wants to share it, they can share it. They don't want to share it with the group, it's okay if they don't want to share it. Like, we don't have to make every kid an extrovert, every kid a leader. That is where trying to make these robotic machines is where our education system failed. And it didn't actually fail. It's because of the industrial revolution. They wanted people to work on machines. So they wanted people to turn out the same. But it's not working so well now. As the jobs have got so varied and finally we're seeing the results. It's not giving the same results. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, and how can there's a question in the chat box by Flora. How can we balance academic schedule with giving students time to process and express their emotions?
How can we balance academic schedule? Yeah, so which is I said, like giving them an hour sessions, which will be very hard. So finding quick ways of doing it, naming emotions, that's enough. Guiding them to look back, shake your body, that's enough. That will stack up over time. Giving them right words, like say, Nicey started off with, I'm good and okay today. But if she plays Kidiki with me tomorrow, she'll have more words. Then 2 years down the line, when I ask her, how are you feeling? Nicey might give me like 6, 7 words, just like that graph I gave you. This is itna, this is itna, this is this much. This is what is most alive for me. So trying to find quick ways in which they can do it. So I think what I shared earlier, like naming is one of them, then embodied practices is one of them. Yeah.
And like if a teacher wants to integrate this into the class everyday learning, so like can they integrate it? Can they integrate emotional intelligence in lessons like in the language, maths, life science, etc.?
Yeah. So see, I'm not an expert in how you can integrate it with mathematics, but I'm pretty sure you can find a way to do it if you're really keen to do it. Like just like the stories which is about this is orange. I had 3 oranges, somebody took 2 oranges. So you can add some emotion in the same thing. He took it from me when I was not looking, so I felt sad. I'm just giving a. So you can make it more, add more story, and they were okay with it. They forgave each other, whatever it is, and still carry around the 3 - 2 over there. So not sure of it, but yeah, we can definitely brainstorm if you want around it. I haven't thought of how to inculcate it in max classes now, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. There's one last question by Jeev Bharti. How to deal with a child who is introvert to teachers, even though the teachers are people friendly, but some child more friendly and express to their classmates. Some children express to their classmates, not to the teacher. I think that's what she meant.
So again, I'm not an expert in this, but what I can give you a suggestion is, uh, in my own understanding would be, so like he just has probably an issue with authority, with the hierarchy, which is what all theory. So they might be going through some form of trauma or some kind of experience where they have an issue with opening up to people they perceive to have hierarchy or order. And this is what trauma research is already again and again repeatedly showing towards a peer-based way of learning. So the teacher doesn't have to be high up. The teacher is there with the students and not trying to force it, just giving them the space the same way the classmate might be behaving to them. Trying to build that energy might be a way, I think. So trauma-informed way of doing sessions is something I definitely explore in my workshops, and it's not so quite easy to say it at once over the session, but yeah, trying to breaking that hierarchy, which might be unconsciously maybe coming across, is a way to deal it. And maybe that's not possible with the way classes are structured for you right now. And yeah, but that's somewhere where these children would more open up more.